If you wanted to see his merchandise, he had these doors in a wagon with built-in compartments where he had his various wares, and you had to almost go down on your hands and knees to get him to open it up to see what's in it. Unless he decided he wanted to promote something, and all of a sudden he'd come and he'd try and sell you something. But he really didn't look at trying to make money, and he used to hate to go home. He had to come home for the high holidays, and his wife and daughter would jump on him why he wasn't supporting the family better. But he didn't care, and he continued to peddle for many, many years.
Well, do you think this characteristic was a quality that a lot of peddlers had, that they were Luftmenschen, that they couldn't stand being confined and at home?
No, I think this was a quality that he had, and he was an elderly man. He was, well, I guess he must have been in his 70s, well into his 70s by that time, and he didn't give a damn. And he had enough cronies, farmers, that were happy to receive him. There was a lonely life in the country, and Barney would come and he would stay with you, and it was okay. He was part of the family, and this was the life of my parents. I mean, anybody could come and stay, and they did. And later on, and during the time, there were also dry goods peddlers, not dry goods, scrap peddlers, scrap iron and rag peddlers that used to come out. They'd all come and stop at our place. And we were always happy to have people.
But in
It's an open house.
In truth, these peddlers were like family to you, because they were your only contact in the country with Jewish people from the city.
That's right. It was a big deal.
Tell me about his wagon. Describe it perfectly for me.
His wagon was it was squared off, and it had doors on each side that came off. They had little things that twisted, and he had padlocks on them.
So it was like shutters.
And then he had the back and entrance there, and the front he had a little cover over it where he sat, and he was a real character. He came to us one day on foot, and he said to my father, he said, "My horse died. I'm stuck." So my father loaned him a horse. Well, we didn't see Barney for a whole year. He never showed up.
He took your horse and didn't come back?
That's right. He never showed up. So Barney, finally, when he showed up, he had this nice gray horse, and he named him, his name was King George, after the King of England, you see. And everybody in the country knew Barney and his horse, King George. And he told my father a cock and bull story about this other horse. He says he was crossing the railroad tracks, and the horse caught all his 4 feet in the railroad tracks, and he broke his legs and died. So that was the end of that, and that was the end of that deal. But he was a real character.
So what did he sell? Tell me what was in there to sell.
He had dry goods, basically linens, dry goods, overalls, shirts. I mean, the clothes were very basic in those days. No style stuff, needless to say. And he used to buy from Bradshaw's on College Street, if you remember Bradshaw's.